What up, what up? Yeah, about to get this interview going as y'all are jumping in. Hey, you rocking to Apollo Rojas. What up, what up? What up, Ted? About to get this interview going. It's been a minute since I jumped on here. About to highlight an independent artist in the building. His name is Apollo Rojas. Tatiana, what's up? POTL, what up, what up? Apollo Rojas, I see you. All right, cool. Let's get this thing going. All right. This song is dope.
It's good.
Apollo, what up, what up?
How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Glad to have you on here with us, bro.
Thank you.
My understanding is this is your first time jumping on live.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, it's awesome. So if I don't know anything, just lead the way and I'll follow.
Yeah. No doubt. I want to give a big shout out to we got DJ Will, that's Jam the Heights DJ. Make sure you send your stuff over there to him as well.
All right.
And anyone asking, I see POT asking about want to send music. Make sure you send us a DM afterwards, and we'll make sure to chop it up. Apollo. So I'm gonna be honest with you, Apollo. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Dope. So I'll be honest with you, Apollo. I did not know much about your music prior to getting this whole thing set up, but
Okay.
I am glad I discovered your stuff, brother.
Oh, awesome, bro. Thanks.
I'm really digging your stuff. Now, before I jump into your music and a couple of tracks that you got released, one thing I've been noticing with your social media is you've made it evident that family is really important to you. How does that play out as far as you and your musical grind as well?
Oh, it absolutely plays a major part, man. I mean, God has blessed me with them, and I enjoy my wife, I enjoy my kids, and there's no severing that, right? Everything else comes second to that. God first and then family. So at this stage in life, I'll say that it's a little harder to get the craft in and get some writing, especially with a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. But, you know, I try to make do, but, you know, I'm blessed, and family's definitely important for me.
That's what's that. So how many years you been married?
11 this year, September recently.
Wow.
Yeah, happy anniversary. Tatiana's my wife. She's in here, so shout out to her.
That's what's up. Yeah, I saw that. Tatiana Rojas. So,
Yep.
brother, so what's your ethnicity, man? I see Rojas. You Latino?
Yeah. My parents are Dominican, from the Dominican Republic. So I'm first generation American, but Dominican at heart, and you know, culturally with the background. So you know,
So you guys still
tostones.
Exactly, Maduro, tostones, sancocho.
Yep, all of that.
That's what's up, man. No, I love that, bro. Yeah, so I was really encouraged by being able to see how, you know, family is an important thing for you. And before we even talk about music, I love talking about that. And another thing I like to talk about is, tell me about your journey coming to Christ.
Oh shoot. Okay, so mine was kind of not weird, I would say, but obviously God treats us as sons, and He deals with us specifically in specific ways. So my sin issue was drugs. So, and specifically cocaine. So I was heavily into cocaine, like enough for whoever's in this room right now, I would just binge. I have an addictive personality just to begin with. Everything I do big. I get obsessed with things. You know, I have ADHD and stuff. So it's not just like, oh, squirrel and look around, but also we obsess. When we like something, we dig it, we do it fully. So I got really hooked on coke, and I used to watch these conspiracy theories that I used to download off the net, and one of them was from a church, which was strange. But at the end, they always had an altar call, and I would pop it off because I felt guilty. Something was stirring in me. It just didn't feel right, and I didn't want to hear that. I wanted to enjoy what I was doing. But I was also at the point where I was praying daily for God just to take me out of this earth, because I didn't have an escape. I didn't see that I had any worth. My life wasn't where I thought it should be at that point. So I was struggling with depression, drug addiction, loneliness. But after a while, God used that. He started just pulling at my heartstrings. And, you know, it went from turning it off to, okay, maybe, but I need to get clean first. I can't show up like this, right? I had that whole thing where I thought I needed to be saved before being saved, you know?
Right.
Which it doesn't work like that. You know, God wants you how you are in your present state. Come to me and He'll do the work. But ultimately, one day, same routine, I was binging. And again, when I tell you binging, I would, I was so ashamed of what I was doing that I would tell my dealer that I was buying it so I could flip it. So I would buy 5 or 6 little packets and create a little mountain and just go to town to the point of hallucinating. But God was working in me despite that. And one day I just said, okay, this is it. And I buried my face on the pillow with tears. And I just asked God, I said, I can't do this. And if you're real, I need your help. And he came through in a huge way. He literally, like within that month, which was 2006 in May or something, or April or May, I stopped cold turkey to the point where I'm like, hey, come pick me up so I can give you what I owed you, because I owed my dealer loot at that time. Yeah. So I paid him his 200, and I'll never forget his face when he looked at me. He's like, yo, for real, you're done? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. No more. And he's like, you'll be back. And that stuck with me, that evil, like that whole, like, that has a bigger grasp on you than whatever you think you're going to go to now. And I didn't look back, man. And it was miraculous, because I should have been either dead, OD'd in jail, or just struggling with it until somebody put me in a rehab of some sort. But it was God, he put his hand in me and he totally nipped it in the bud. Amen. 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 Thank you. It's one of the neighbors walking.
They're spreading the gospel right there, brother.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. It's awesome. But yeah, so the way it happened for me, and I'm always careful who I tell this story to. Like in May of 2006, I quit all drugs. June 2006, I met my present wife, who's on here now, Tatiana. So God blessed me with her. I got a job because at that point I had been, I was fired because I couldn't function. Then August, I quit smoking stoves. And then that December, a headhunter saw my resume online and called me for the job that I currently still have now, 13 years later, which was out of left field for a resume that was online for like 2 years, old, not even updated. But God blessed me in a major way. I'm always careful how I share that story, because I'm not like health and wealth, but it's like God can do that. And he did it for me in that way, because that's what I needed. And looking back now, man, I would not have thought that I would have a beautiful wife, 2 kids, become a responsible adult. Like, I'm trusted, I'm responsible. Like, I couldn't see for real. Like, sometimes I stop and I'm like, man, I work from home. I'm blessed to work from home. And my job trusts me and I do what I need to do. But like, if I step outside of myself and I think back to the person that I was, that was an impossibility. It was like, forget it. Who would trust me? Who would love me? And God he was big in how he did, the work in me.
Well, I love that, brother. I love that. And I can just hear it in your voice and how you're sharing your testimony, the reality of that and the storms you must have been going through to get you to this place. So I was seeing you're originally from New Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey, 201.
Oh, okay. And now you're living in Georgia.
Yeah, I'm in Georgia, Roswell, sort of outside of Atlanta. Okay. But yeah, 2 years in this July. So it's a brand new world. It's crazy. It's like, if you don't hear cars right now, which bugged me out for the first month. I was like, where are the sirens?
Yeah.
I got used
to it.
I
wanted to ask you, man, I mean, you having that Jersey influence. I was hearing your music, and I hear a lot of like a northern sound, more of like an underground hip hop sound. It reminded me a lot of like Wu-Tang Clan, MF Doom influence. What was your influence growing up? The type of music you listened to?
So as you guys could tell by the grays, I'm not a spring chicken, but to tell my story, man, when I first heard rap, I fell in love with it immediately. Like, people today don't know how good you have it. We had one night a week on the radio for rap, and it was a small window, and it was like you had to get on and record it. So I used to put my boombox next to the TV for Your MTV Raps or whatever was on to record Big Daddy Kane, Public Enemy, Tribe. Wow. And all those cats. And then I started, as the genre started progressing and the craft started progressing, you got cats like Nas, and that blew me away, because you had Rakim, who kind of changed everything from the hippity hoppity boo, right? So something that was had more meat to it, and that impressed me. Big Daddy Kane impressed me. And all of a sudden you have Nas come out, you have Wu-Tang come out, and that blew my mind completely. Like, what someone was able to do with so very little, just putting their mind on paper and then being able to share their story, share their point of view, you know, paint a picture with their words. So I've always appreciated like lyrical MCs. I listen to everything, but that's like in my heart is like someone who can put words together in a way that's gonna make me go, wow, okay, I would have never thought to have done that. It resonates with me. So yeah, man, underground for sure. Like Babito and Stretch back in the days, on Thursday nights, they had a college radio show. They revolutionized like what the underground scene was. That for me, once I started finding the mainstream stuff that was dope and it started changing a little bit, I went underground and I started listening to the cats that were doing it for the love of the craft, who weren't getting as much attention as others, but who were doing it big.
Yeah. No, I love that, man. And I can hear that because I grew up as an underground hip hop head as well. I mean, I wasn't around when, you know, when you're talking about like that, you're on TV, I wasn't around then. But I felt like I had an old soul, so I was always listening to that. You know, I grew up listening to that, to the underground sound. I love Mos Def and Talib Kweli. And what I loved about your songs is that there's like a lot of multi-syllable rhyme scheme, and it reminded me of a Big Pun in the way he would rhyme certain words, and like there were multi-words that were rhyming at the same time. So I really love that about your rhyme scheme and your rhyme structure. That we don't hear much of that lately. But when I was hearing your songs and you're releasing these songs, and like you said, you're like, I'm not a spring chicken, but you're releasing this new content. But the songs that you released are specifically targeting, you know, social media image, you know, guns and politics. And why was that so important for you, you know, coming in as an artist now to address these topics?
Well, for me, because I'm not as new as some of the guys that are doing it now, I think I have a different perspective where I know that my time is limited. Just overall on this planet, it's limited. So with that perception, I said, I have these things that are in my heart from all the hurt that I've gone through, from abandonment, from my dad, etc. And just, you know, being that dude that was surrounded by a crowd but could feel the loneliness at that point. So I was like, man, I need to share what's there. Not on my third album, like some people do. Usually they'll put out something to get people, you know, a buzz, and all of a sudden they get personal on the third album. I was like, I got to put this out now because I'm not promised tomorrow. So with that mentality, I have songs there like The Popular Mechanics. Some of the starting lyrics are literally 10 plus years old. But there were things that were in my heart that I think need to be addressed. Not just back when I started like having those thoughts, but especially now. I think people are just following some really, really bad trends that are not going to lead the culture to a good place. And just, not even just hip hop, just real life. Like it's not leading people to anywhere that's good. I mean, if we take Tekashi 6ix9ine as an example, he's a 23-year-old dude. That to me, anybody who's in here listening and you're young, when I was 23, I thought I was an old dude. I thought I was a grown up. I thought I knew everything. At 33, I look back and I was like, yo, I didn't know nothing. And now when I'm at where I'm at now, I'm like, yo, I didn't know anything then either. So you progress in your views, and it's just something that I felt that needed to be talked about. I don't know if a lot of people are dabbling in that or trying to highlight that, but I just felt compelled to tell those stories and kind of highlight where we are with these gadgets that we're supposed to be so freeing, yet we're locked in 24/7 trying to get the next high of what's going on with this person, that person. Look at this funny video. Oh, look at the cat. Whatever it is. And I think it's dangerous. If you step outside and you look at it for what it is, it's dangerous. And I don't think a lot of people perceive it as that, but maybe highlighting it, somebody might take a step back and see, okay, well, let me think about it and see if this guy has a point.
Yeah. Well, one of the songs, one of your songs is called "Selfie." And I'll give you props, brother. I think you're a video editor, right? You edit videos?
I did not edit that video specifically. Kaylee Bauer, who follows me, so if you want to hit her up, she takes photographs. She's an editor. She's dope. She edited it, and we had it directed by Nathan Rigaud, who these guys literally just blessed me, bro. These guys work, I don't know if you know about Georgia, but it's called the Hollywood of the South. So some of these people work like on real films, like major productions, like they've been on the set of some of the Marvel movies and stuff like that. So these guys just heard my stuff. We got linked up through church, and all of a sudden it's like, yo, we believe in that. I'm helping you, you help me, and let's see what we can make happen. And that's how Selfie got done.
Yeah, well, I love that, man. your quality in your videos, you know, many times when artists first come out and they release their first videos, you know, you got to go through like the rough looking videos. The quality is not really there, but your two videos for Selfie and for Popular Mechanics, they were dope. Like the you know, you had content, but you also matched that with quality video as well. So I appreciate that as a consumer and as a listener and a viewer. Like I appreciated being able to see the good quality video. One of your lines on Selfie that stood out to me that I really loved was because it's so true. You said, "Wife and I," and it's real transparent. You said, "Wife and I forget we have a spouse. Our time's reduced to adding views and surfing through our multiple accounts." And it, to me, it was like a dagger in my heart because I know how often my wife and I can do that and can spend so much time on our phones. You know, why is that so important for people like us, husbands as well, husbands and wives, to listen to that and be aware that happens?
It's very important because it's severing relationships, right? We're supposed to be connected. We're supposed to be one flesh. Let's just take the example of wife and husband. We're supposed to be like, that's your best friend. You're supposed to be open, having relationships, communicating. And when you're investing your time mostly in a gadget and living through other people's lives, so to speak, because that's what we're doing. We're kind of comparing and evaluating where we are based on what we see on social media. So when we're doing that and we're enjoying that more than the company of your spouse, I mean, you got to stop and kind of think and be like, this is kind of dangerous. If I let this go on too much, we may be in problem because there's no longer communication. We're now making assumptions because we're not communicating. And those assumptions are causing friction and fights. And all of a sudden it's like, I want a divorce, you know, as an extreme. But yeah, it's very, very dangerous because it's so subtle. It is so subtle. Before starting to promote the you know, the songs and everything, I had stopped doing social media. I had it, but my wife just basically tagged me on stuff, right? Things about the kids or something important or something she wanted me to read. But now that I'm doing it for promotion, which is so ironic, it's very easy again to slip into a rabbit hole and all of a sudden look at the watch and it's like been an hour and a half and I just intended to go see what my friend did yesterday because there was some kind of event. And it's just hard, man. It's a lot of people are using also their gadgets as babysitters. Like, I'm not judging anybody who goes and eats and has their kids on gadgets, but that's a great time for people to catch up over a meal, to be sitting down and say, how was school? Or just, you know, have a conversation about life and, you know, give some wisdom to the kids. But we're missing those moments because we're not living here in reality. We're living through these gadgets and being fueled and filled by it.
Right.
It's empty calories, man. It's not filling at the end of the day. It's empty.
Yeah, well, that song Selfie was really convicting, and
Thank you.
And it was really dope that you're able to mix in the, you know, dope rhyme scheme, multi-syllable rhyme scheme, along with depth as far as the content. And then I want to jump into Popular Mechanics as well. I thought that video was dope, and I loved how you incorporated all these. I think you wrote 400.
Yeah, about 400. Some of them may not be visible because there's so much going on, but there are about 400 MCs.
Yeah, I thought it was great because you know, you had a couple of people in there that maybe some other people might not know. Like, you had Big L in there.
Yeah.
You had all these other underground cats that were in there that were represented in that as well, with Christian hip hop artists as well. A line that stood out to me in that one was also used to get props for spitting out and blowing up the spot. And to me, as an underground head, that spoke to me because it was so simple but so true. How back in the day, you jump in a cipher, you can't come with anything written. You can't come in without having a dope verse or something freestyle. If not, you get booed out. You know, I'm not gonna want to listen to you. So
absolutely.
Tell me your thought process in creating Popular Mechanics and the idea that back then you had to have substance and now anything goes.
Yeah, man, it's just, for me, it's sad, right? Like, again, I listen to everything, even what's out now, and there's a lot of things that I love about the music that's out now. But there's a lot, it's overly saturated with stuff that just back in the days, people would not allow. You would not get a pass with some of the stuff that people are getting away with nowadays. So it's just, I don't know, I think there's like a call for action, for me at least, for people to realize that, hey, man, we can get deeper than this. We don't have to stay fluffy. We don't have to just spit about cars, women, money, jewelry, and the same rehash thing over and over again. Like, we can pour out our hearts, we can talk real talk, we can have a lot of all that and bring back some of the technical aspects of creating verses. And I don't know, man. I'm not knocking. I know I've seen a lot of beefs between old heads and new heads, and it doesn't end well. I'm not knocking the new stuff at all, but I'm just calling people to see like what's happening, man. Who are calling the shots? Who are the ones making the decisions to put, like, let's say, trash on the radio? Who's making that decision? It may start in the hood, but I'm sure like the board men or the people who are making those executive decisions are not people from the hood. So you got these suits calling the shots on the type of music that's got to be played in the hood. And in my opinion, that's the trap, because that's going to just keep, putting out that same whack message of this is how life is, this is what we are, this is what we do, and keep that vicious cycle going. And I hate that. I mean, there are a lot back. Like, I was doing some research before, and like now in Chicago, the beefs are no longer like, yo, this is my spot, I run crack out of here, or whatever you're dealing. You got to bounce or there's beef. Now it's like, yo, you heard what this guy said about you on a rap? And then they kill each other. Like, that's insane, man. And the people calling the shots, the execs, whoever they are, who are putting this out, man, I just really think people want to keep people where they are. You're down here, stay here. Don't come up here. Like, back in the days, if you like underground, there was a variety of hip-hop. You had conscious hip-hop. You had people talking about struggles. You had people doing the party stuff. But nowadays, it's rare. Like, who has done a collaborative work with another MC, like Self-Destruction, like BDP and them cats did back in the days, right? Stop the Violence movement. And if they have tried, I didn't hear about it. I think they made a remix or something, but why wasn't it publicized? Why wasn't it given more publicity so people can catch on to the message and turn themselves around and be inspired? So it's just, to me, that's the trap,
Yeah.
And it bothers me.
That's good, brother. And I love that you do talk about these things. In your first songs that you're releasing, you're talking about these difficult topics. One thing that we joked about in the beginning was the fact that you're Dominican, Latino. And the question I wanted to ask you was, being Latino, being a Latino artist, how does this affect your worldview or how you approach rap and what you rap about? And I asked this because Ruslan had an interview with What Up RG, and one of the comments in this interview was somebody wrote, "It's so encouraging to see someone that looks like me being represented, that's going through the same struggles, in poverty and going through similar struggles." So how does that affect you, being Latino as an artist?
I mean, it's who I am, right? My identity is in Christ, right? As yours is, and any Christian, Bible-believing Christian. But God made the world diverse and beautiful. Like, you're Latino, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Venezuela.
from where?
Venezuela.
Venezuela. Awesome, bro. I love arepas, bro.
Yeah.
Pabellón, delicious.
Yeah.
But me and you, culturally different, even though we speak the same language, right?
Right.
Latinos and Europeans, African Americans, American whites, we're all different, man. We come from different cultures and different backgrounds, and that's beautiful. But if I feel like I'm in some kind of mode that sometimes I can't escape, right? Like, my heart is in here, but you see this, so therefore you are that. And I really related to what Up RG was saying on that interview. I caught the beginning, and I heard everything that you said. I heard. And I think it's awesome that there are representatives that look like him, that look like you, that look like me, because we have to show people that, we're not the stereotypes. We have intelligent people, and we have, awful people. We have people with great hearts, and we have people who just want to, wreak havoc. Just like anywhere in the country, anywhere in the world, you have your good side, your bad side, good people, bad people. It's something that I can't escape. It's not like I'm trying to focus on I am the Latino guy. Just like what Up RG was saying, is like I can understand that. I just want to be. I'm an American, right? I was born here, so that's how I see myself. So, but I just want to represent what's in my mind. But I can't escape this. So it does become part of like your perspective. Like, moving to Georgia was a culture shock, bro. Like, back home, and we're in northern New Jersey, Union City. For my wife, I'm from North Bergen. Shout out to everybody back home. And we're like my wife was 5 minutes from the Lincoln Tunnel into the New York, so it's a melting pot.
Wow.
Coming out here, you have your pockets, but what we are is predominantly white, and there's nothing wrong with that. My church is predominantly white. There's nothing wrong with that. But every now and then you catch a certain attitude, a certain weirdness about people. They won't look at you and say, but they'll act different as soon as you walk in, and all of a sudden it's like, and you know you're being treated a little different. And I hate that. I hate not so much because it happens to me, because I have a pretty good job. I have my wife. I speak English. I was born here. But there are a lot of people, man, who are trying to make it, who are new to the country, you know, who are just trying to get by and do the jobs that nobody else wants to take, that are really treated poorly, man. And sometimes by people who call themselves Christians. I'm not saying they're not Christians, but we have to be compassionate, man. Like, for instance, my wife posted something on Facebook about a little girl who they were in school for some kind of meeting, and her parents got picked up by ICE. And she's crying, bawling in tears. And my wife posted this, and one of our friends from an older church, he's a brother, but he was like, oh, that's so sad that her parents put her in that position. And that's not the first thing you should say. You have a political agenda, and he is kind of like a political dude, but that's not the first thing you say. That's not the first thing that should be coming out of your mouth when a little girl believes her world is done. For that little girl, she doesn't know if her parents are coming back. This is it. Everything that my parents told me about, the rumors about me not being able to say that they're not here legally or whatever it is, you know, because they probably briefed her, it's happening right now. And her world is done as far as she knows. So we just need to have compassion, man. I mean, we're all, you know, image bearers of Christ, of God, right? We're all made in his image. We are all his creation. And just because someone looks different, speaks different, doesn't mean they're any less than you. Just like, you know, I'll dress the whole tattoo on my face. I'm not thinking people with tattoos on their face are less than me. I don't disagree with tattoos. We're all God's creation, man. And we should, I wish that Christians specifically who preach that or hear the messages would put that at the forefront of their minds and act accordingly. Now with even like What Up Our Jeep, a lot of people were commenting on his thing even after that 4 a.m. song, like, oh, but illegal aliens shouldn't. And I'm not saying we should be doing things illegally, but is that your heart behind it? His dad got taken away. He was young, and his dad is not here. He's here now, I think, but he went through that. That was real. That was real hurt, real brokenness, real separation, real trauma. And we should have a heart that sees people, not, you know, policies and politics or anything like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, brother. And when you have listeners or people tuning in now or going to be tuning in afterwards, and they become more aware of Apollo Rojas and his music, what would you say is your message that you want people to leave away with? Whenever they listen to your songs, whenever they hear your album, when they think of Apollo Rojas, what is the message you want to be communicated?
It's dope that you personally like underground stuff, or, you know, like dense lyricism, but it's not for everyone, and I understand that.
Right.
But I'm already getting some pushback just because you're too lyrical. How can I? Yeah. And it's just, I just want people to give it a chance. I'm the type of person that if I see a movie twice, I'll enjoy seeing things that I didn't pick up on afterwards. My music is sort of like that. Like, you may not get everything the second time, the third time, but there are messages in there that are coming straight from my heart. These are things that I didn't write because I want to be down, I want to be cool. I didn't show up to this interview with shades on, or, you know, trying to front, like pretend I'm not something I'm not. Like, what you guys are hearing was really me saying, I'm not promised tomorrow, and I have some things that I want to say, and I'm hoping that God uses it, even if it's for one person, that he'll use it and you know, make a difference, an impact of some way to bring that person out of their place of darkness towards a place of light and with him. So ultimately, this is for like the misfits. This is for the outcast, the marginalized. This is for people who, man, I used to be in a party sometimes when I was younger and be surrounded by a crowd where everything's cheery and everything is great. Everybody's having a great time. And I would just get stuck in my head. And then I would start overthinking. And I could feel the loneliest when I'm surrounded by a lot of people. You know, I've battled addiction. I've battled depression. You know, every now and again, I have to reshift my gaze towards Jesus as my true hope instead of like what this world offers or what people think of me or what I think of myself, right? Instead of believing the lies. So just this is for the people who are like-minded people. I enjoyed What Up RG stuff. I like the new stuff that people put out. But people who might say, "Oh shoot, I wish there was something different," and maybe this is different that they're searching for. Maybe that throwback into lyricism and you know, wordplay is what they're looking for. And maybe people who would never give hip hop or even specifically Christian hip hop a chance, maybe like, oh, okay, cool. All right, let's listen to this guy. I like that kind of stuff. I enjoy that whole movie thing where I can hear it 2 or 3 times and pull nuggets out of there. So that's what I'm hoping. I'm just hoping that God uses it somehow. To be honest, I jumped over the fence into doing this whole project because I didn't want to be 90 or whenever God calls me home. And I'm like, in front of him, he's like, hey, remember that gift I gave you? So what you do with it? And I would say nothing. I squandered it. I did nothing with it. You know, so I'm just trying to walk in faith, put it out, see who hears, let God use it, and just, you know, asking people to give it a chance, to really dive in and see what I'm talking about, see if it resonates with you in any way.
Yeah, man. And as one of my last questions for you, brother, at being an independent artist, what would you say is the biggest struggle, the biggest obstacle you have as an independent artist?
Oversaturation. A blessing and a curse, so to speak, is the fact that the internet age has allowed people to put themselves out there when they would not have been afforded the chance because you need a big record company backing your label. Nowadays, people can just jump in the internet and say, look at me, this is what I'm doing. Check me out. So now it's oversaturated. The trends are a little different. I'm trying to bring back something that I personally enjoy that I'm hoping that people will enjoy as well. At least, even if it's in the, breath of fresh air, a little different than everything else we're hearing. But sorry, lost my train of thought.
No. It's all good. Oversaturation. And Profess the Biz asked the question. I'm not sure if it was directed to you or not, but I think it'd be a good question to ask you. You being, you know, your sound being different. Somebody says old school from the underground hip hop and whatnot. Have you linked up with other artists in CHH that have a similar sound like yours?
Recently, I was talking. I actually met up yesterday with R. Swift, just chopping it up, trying to see if we could do a project together. Before that, when I was saved, I was in a church and I won some contest, and they gave me an iTunes card. And my heart was like, I can't use this for worldly music. I have to see, is there Christian hip hop? And I looked up, I downloaded like a playlist of different artists. The Truth was in there. Stephen the Levi, Shaolin, and I started getting into the lamp mode camp. So Stephen the Levi has sat with me, listened to my records, given me some feedback. SO also. But it's a struggle because it's hard, man. I had the vain view of like very romanticized version of Christianity in my head that everybody helped each other out. Not saying that the people that have not helped me out.
Yeah, that ain't real, brother.
No. You know, I have to commit to my mind that everybody is a real person with real jobs, real responsibilities, limited amount of time, and sinful as well. Right? Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I hate, and I don't want to go over anything, but it's like all the clicks we have, man. Like, I want to challenge anyone who hears this, bro. I want to see a CHH Stop the Violence, self-destruction, like, collaboration. But there's certain camps that are like, I'm here, you're there, and that's how it has to be. And I understand doctrinal differences. I understand certain camps are a little off. But there are things that are secondary, right? And there are things that are primary as far as faith. And if we agree on the primary and there's no weirdness about like your thoughts or philosophies that don't gel with the Bible, then we should still be able to talk, man, and build and represent Christ together. So I challenge anyone. I don't know if anybody else is going to see this, but I would love to see that. I was talking to someone that like, it's not going to happen because the church is not united and the artists follow the church. So therefore, until the church unites and says, let's build together, it won't happen. But I'm challenging people to make it happen. I would love to see that. I don't even have to rap to the dude. I'll just be the dude that's like this in the background. I just want to
2 Point left a comment, and I think it's so true. People are people. you know, self-esteem, identity crisis is real. I think we see that in Christian hip hop, and why it becomes so tribal, and people want to stick to their tribe. But let me ask you, as an indie artist, brother, if you were to link up and collaborate with an artist, who would be your ideal candidate? Who would you want to do a song with?
THH?
Yeah.
All right. Wow, hard, tough. There's a lot. But Beautiful Eulogy, I know they're kind of like on hiatus, but I would love to work with them. I would love to work with the Reach Records cats. I would love to work with God Over Money. Like, I just think I'm thinking of it as a unity thing, more as a business move, or, you know, would this be a good look for me? But yeah, man, like those camps to me, they seem passionate about what they're doing. Different ministries, different approaches, but I think the goal is all the same, you know, to glorify God and to, you know, show Christ to the nations. You know, some specifically for the church, some are trying to reach people outside of the church, but yeah, any of those camps would be fantastic.
Yeah, I think Dubs makes a good point. Some Christian artists are still chasing the fame versus reaching souls, and I think that's really true. And I appreciate you about Apollo is that even through your songs, you got dope beats, you got dope flow, great rhyme scheme. And to me, it sounds dope to listen to, and it's also different. And to close out, brother, I want you to have a couple of seconds to share what's next for Apollo. What can people be expecting? How can they connect with you?
So I'm trying to figure that out as we speak, because in this meme culture, fast food culture, I don't know if I should keep putting out singles, but I have a whole album. Those are 2 singles from a 14-track album that's done. Most of the production done by Ja Rockin in Brooklyn. My boy Hector. Hectic Taurus has a couple of tracks on there, so I'm ready to keep unloading. It's just trying to figure out like at what pace and when do I just put out the entire project versus just the single. So I have music. I need more videos though. So if anybody knows anybody else,
you're based out of Georgia, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Close to Atlanta. I'm a
little. A couple connects out there.
Awesome. Link me up.
Yeah. We'll see what we make happen, brother. Well, look, we'll keep in contact. Apollo, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate your sound. I appreciate your boldness as well, and the fact that you want to be obedient to Christ, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, hey, regardless, you know what stage I'm at in life. I'm married. I got children. I have a gift that God gave me. I want to be obedient and I want to steward it well. I'm personally looking forward to your projects. Keep up with the visuals, bro. Like I would say that you have some dope visuals. Keep up with the visuals. Use that social media in the best way you can, in a healthy way, brother. And it was great connecting with you, bro.
Same here, man. I appreciate you. Thank you.
God bless you, bro.
All right. Amen. Same to you.
Alrighty, y'all. Big shout out to Tatiana for tuning in, supporting her husband. I appreciate you doing that. I think that's great to see that. Shout out to Profesh. Shout out to Dubs. What up to GG's here, 2 Point. Everyone tuning in. If you're an artist, if you're independent, and you're wanting some promotion, make sure you send me a DM. Make sure you send me a follow on Jam the Hype, but also on my personal Jam the Hype social media platform as well. Follow me at Diego Calderon. I would love to connect with you. Send me some questions, whatever you got going on. I love listening to and supporting independent artists in any way that I can. Remember, it's ministry before industry. Send me a DM. Hit me with a follow. I love to